Okay, so hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first workshop of ideation stage. The workshop name is Mastering AI Agents with MCP, and this workshop will be taken by Siddharth. He's one of the tech mentors at NASCOM Foundation. So over to you, Siddharth. You can start with the session.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Oh, wait, that's too much. Yeah, hi, everyone.
Hello.
So, guys, before we start, I'll start by some quick questions. Okay, how many of you are aware of the word MCP or ever heard of it or, might have, come over it while I figure out how to share the screen? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's try to keep it a little informal, right? This is not a regular school lecture or nor this is, you know, another workshop that you are forced to take. You are here because of your own interest. So I will try to make it as, uh, friendly as I can. Okay. So can you help me understand what is MCP or if have someone heard the word MCP or is aware what the MCP is or anything? Anything of the sorts. Okay, let's generalize it. Let's take a step back. Anyone who is familiar with AI? Everyone is familiar with AI? Yes? Um, are we uh okay. People are responding in chat. Cool. I'll just take a look at chat. Okay, so let's do this rather than responding in chat. I would like you to react. Okay. So let's react with a thumbs up if you know what AI is. Okay. Have used AI, ever heard of it, quite frequent with it. All things deserves a thumbs up. Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Okay. How many of you are aware that there is something called as ChatGPT or something called as generative AI or something like those sort of stuff? How many of us are aware of those things? Okay, many, many, many. Okay, okay. Fun question. How many of you have, used ChatGPT to do your assignments? I mean, we can react for a haha in this one. That will be more fun that way, right? So let's react with a haha. If you have ever done your assignments or studied, uh, that's tough. Cool. Okay. Okay. How many of you are aware of, AI agents or have heard the word AI agents? Anything a little bit close to it. Okay. So people are aware of AI agents. Okay. How many of you know the trending word in the market called as MCP? How many of us are aware of the trending word MCP? Okay, just a few thumbs up this time. Okay, can any one of the participants who raised a thumbs up comfortable enough to, help other know what an MCP is or just to give an overview of what an MCP looks like? Anyone can be anyone, no hard and fast. You can respond in chat or maybe, just unmute yourself and just let us know what MCP is.
Oh, hey, am I audible?
Yeah.
All right, so MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's basically a way for AI agents to communicate with each other.
Mm, so it is just limited to AI agents or is it, anything more, anything less? Are we looking at something more, something less? Like if you can elaborate a little more on that part.
Can be used for both machine to machine and human to machine interaction. So I think uh, the answer would be both, I think.
Okay, so just to sum it up and to give you a better understanding, can we say that MCP actually stands for Model Context Protocol, where machines, or I can say applications, which are different from each other, can somehow communicate with one another.
Siddharth,
How
I'll
many of?
read out, sorry to interrupt. Okay, I'll read
Yeah,
out the
yeah,
answers
please.
from chats in between. Okay. So,
Sure.
Ansh is saying only heard the word Razorpay recently did something on MCP. And
Okay.
and Ankit is saying just a way different than normal API calls, mostly used for AI agent for faster access of larger data.
Okay. So before we actually dive into like if the nitty-gritty of what MCP is and what stuff is, right? Let's understand. Wait, I'll just dive back in. Okay. Let's understand, you know, what today we're gonna understand and what we're gonna do. So the first is why MCP, what problem does it solve? What is MCP in like pretty simple language? Some core pieces that there is. What is the difference between MCP and REST API? If the time allows, we'll have a hands-on demo. And yeah, we'll then look into other stuff. Cool. So the problem is basically, let's say you are using multiple files, right? In your system, you have an Excel, you have calculator, you have um, Paint, for example, GitHub, CRM, calendar, all the other stuff that is there in the application, and they have no way to, communicate to one another. Yes or no? Like you cannot say, okay, take this and make things work in my calculator, right? You cannot just give a prompt to your system and say, please make this work on my calculator, something like that, right? That is not possible, nor is it feasible. So for these kind of stuff, this is where MCP comes in. MCP is basically used when you want to understand stuff like, let's say, you wanna, say same command, like you wanna pass in a common interface, right? And you wanna pass a command through that interface, and it runs things for you. Okay, is that making sense somewhat? Guys, are you with me, or have I lost you? Yeah, please go on. Okay, we are together. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Siddharth,
Okay.
Ansh is asking what is difference between a normal API and MCP then?
Yeah, so we'll be covering that part out definitely because that is where the crucial difference lies. Many people do get confused, wherein like what is the issue and how to deal with it. But yeah, like just a second more. Okay, so let's look into that part. Okay, so I can say that LLMs are powerful but blind to your apps and data by default, right? Until unless you don't specifically go and upload your data or a book to ChatGPT and then say that please help me create a flashcard for this or quiz for this, they have no idea what to do, right? And app integration today are like everyone is using Gemini or everyone is using ChatGPT or like they're using like API keys for their custom project. This is where MCP comes in. They want a standard way to expose tool data and prompts to the AI. Okay. So what is MCP? MCP is like a USB-C of AI apps, right? We all know that USB-C is one go-to drive for be it your hard drive, be it your power source, be it your mouse, keyboard, external hard drive, headphones, anything. So I can say that for those part of stuff, like you can say that, you know, MCP is something like a USB-C for those stuff. Okay, you guys with me? यहाँ तक clear हुआ like it is an MCP is something of you know perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so okay, so now that we are clear on this part, right? We can see that just a second. Yeah. So why MCP now, right? So let's understand like why do we need MCP? So we need to standardize how AI connects to tools and data, right? That will bring out less rework. There are some ecosystem signals already launched by Anthropic. It is adopted across the devs, and yeah, there are like OS support that is emerging. Like you can directly enable MCP using your Anthropic desktop application, lowers the integration friction. Sorry, yeah, lowers the integration friction and improves the agent reliability. Okay. So the core mental model comes to like the host is running an AI experience, the client is running on the client side, and the server is running something to provide the data implementing the MCP. Okay, so they run on JSON RPC and everything else. How the communication works is basically user asks the AI in the host, client negotiates, and like these are like all the back and forth. Okay, so basically I'll just try to elaborate it here. Yeah, is the screen visible? Yeah, so let us understand that, for example, right? For example, this is your application one, right? And similarly, you have other application, and this application is basically sending out some data, right? And requesting another set of data from the server. Okay, right. So this is like what is happening in the usual case scenario. Right? This is what happens, right? So for each application, you might have some different set of calls, right? So if I expand this ecosystem, like it can happen that I have a bunch of apps, right? So let's say app one, app two, app three, and app four, right? And they are using, some API calls to maybe a common server or can be different server all in total. Depends on how we are making the applications, right? And then as and when the response is required, they all take in different stuff, right? So everyone's here with me, and then they get like respective data, right? But what MCP does is like if I make you understand, MCP is basically, you have some clients, right? You have clients. I'll just name them uh, C1, C2, and C3. And moving on from these clients, you get one common MCP area, right? This is the MCP. And then based on these, wait, I'll just move these guys away. Cool. And based on these MCP, right, then they go to single server in a unified manner, right, which removes the ad hoc, and then it get back its data, and then it goes to MCP again, right? So if I have to draw it out, this is something like this, and then MCP takes it to the server, and then it returns, and then it like talks to the application. This is not a client, this is more of an application. Okay, so everyone with me till here? यहाँ तक किसी को कोई doubt? I can be there can be scenarios where I am not that great of an explainer, where you are not able to understand anything. So if you're not able to understand anything at any point of time, do let me know. It is totally possible that you are not able to understand. So please let
Can
me
you
know
please
if
give a
that
brief
happens.
again? Sorry. Can
Sorry.
you please give a brief again, like about the client and the server and all that?
So
Just
okay.
a brief.
So
Yeah.
okay. So what happens in a regular application, right? In a regular application, let's look in the regular application. This is your application one, right? For most of the application, they have a dedicated server, right? Even if like you are using a web and mobile version, they have a dedicated version. Okay. So if I take the biggest example of Grow or Zerodha, right? For phone, they have a different app like server, and for the mobile, they have a different, like for the phone, for the iOS, and for everywhere else, they mostly have like different servers running or the pods running altogether, right? So it might happen that a cross-linking of these requests might happen, right? So let's say that some data is there on server one and some data is there on server two. Okay, and this is also like application two. Right now, what will happen is like application one can request data from server one. Similarly, it can also request data from server two, right? There are no boundations to it. Similarly, for application two, you can request from server one and you can request from server two, right? But in this case of scenario, most of the things, application and application two are not related, nor the server one and server two related. This increases your cost, right? This makes the whole application big and like heavy to run. So what happens is basically, let's say you have an MCP running, right? I'll just give you the biggest example that is running in the market right now for the MCP. Let's say how many of you have heard of Zerodha? All of us are aware of the Zerodha, right? I'll just complete this example. So what happens is basically you need to enter a MCP layer which will help you to bifurcate this. So what will happen afterwards is you have you know uh, application one and you have application two, right? They both will go towards MCP and then it will go towards the server, right? So here only the MCP is dealing, no matter what the request is, only the MCP is handling it out and then dealing it back and responding to the clients as and when the things are appropriate. Okay. So if I take the popular example of Zerodha, the Zerodha MCP says, uh, like I'll just help you explain. So let's say I have a 5,000 rupees. Okay. INR 5,000. Okay. And you make a request. I is the user. Okay. So user has 5,000 rupees and the user make a request to, invest those 5,000 rupees. Invest those 5,000. Okay, so now how this will happen is the MCP will take the request. Okay, so initially there is no way, right? You gave this command to a bot, right? Then initially there is no way for Zerodha to realize that what to do for these 5,000 rupees or where to, you know, put these away or like what to do. Should I put them in one stock? Should I put them in 10 stocks, right? Or everything of those matters, right? Because it is just invest those 5,000. We have never specified anything, right? But what an MCP does is you define some rules for the MCP, right? So this is a prompt for an MCP, invest 5,000. So MCP takes this as a prompt. Then it says, okay, so I have an X amount. So, okay, amount is right, 5,000. Now, if I don't define anything, I might have some definite numbers. For example, let's say pick uh, 20 top profiles, 20 top stocks. Okay. Let's say 5,000. Now, there are two ways to go by it. Okay. Option one can be invest equally in all 20, or option B can be uh, you know divide equally and invest in top five. Like depends on how you make your MCP. Divide equally and invest in top five. Okay. Now there are some API calls that are already happening for when you make an investment, right? When you manually make an investment, whenever you click the invest button on Zerodha, let's say this is an invest button on Zerodha. Right. So whenever you're clicking this, it is sending some kind of request to the server. It is then transacting your money, and but it is not looking at these 4, 5. parameters, right? It is not picking up any 20. So it is your, when this invest button happens, it is for that specific stock for at any given point of time. But when you just say to an MCP investors 5,000, what it's going to do is pick those 20 stock if you don't mention anything. Then it's going to pick off any of the two options, whichever the MCP has already defined by default, right? And then it is going to call this up. This is where the MCP takes a twist, and this is where the APIs get called. Uh, right? So all these thinking parameters that were extra, this is what MCP did for you. All these extra steps is what an MCP did for you, and this is what MCP is majorly used for. Okay, little bit understandable now. Anyone, anything that might they might have a doubt of any sorts up till now?
So going back to the figure on the right hand side that you drew earlier, where you introduce the MCP component in the diagram. So wouldn't that make MCP a server itself instead of the server to be just replace it by another server?
No, so it is a server itself, but it is an AI enabled server that helps you simplify things when you don't want to define things. Think of this in this manner. Uh, let's just take another example, right? Where you have some things to go over to Slack. Okay. Then you have something that you want to change in Excel, right? Now Slack have some own endpoints, Excel have some own endpoints, right? These are more understandable examples, right? Now you come to a chatbot, or maybe like Anthropic is the go-to device ID, right? Go-to device, the chatbot. So you come to Anthropic, right? I'll just make this Anthropic box. So I come to Anthropic, or for your language, it's Claude, right? I come to Claude. I say that I can mention anything here, right? I can say that, you know, get me the data of, okay, let's say get me the data of 50 employees from my organization, right? So this is a very generic data that I have put out, right? But the Excel might have data that is totally not relevant for it. Right now, Slack also have the data, right, where my employees are related, and Excel will also be having some sort of data, right? It is totally possible that Excel is not the one where I have kept data. Excel can be where I have kept the prices for my, cakes. Yeah, so it has a price list of my cakes. And Slack is where actually the data is. Right. So now if you do it on a regular application basis, if you don't put this MCP in between, what you need to do is you need to figure out yourself that where this part is, right? You need to figure out where, I'll just get the laser pointer. Yeah, so you need to figure out where this lies. Okay, you need to understand where this lies, right? It can be over in Slack, it can be over in Excel. Based on that, you need to call the API for those part, right? Once you define those APIs, only then you can, make a REST API and then fetch it from there or fetch it from here, right? But MCP does all this work, like the figuring out part, you know, which API to call and everything of those sort of stuff. This is what the MCP does. And then it will just, return with the data that you need. Data of employer. Understandable to some more extent, or do I need to like give more examples?
I mean,
No, I
I
think that
have a
explains it.
question. Like
Sorry.
that not cleared my doubt that is MCP a server or is it an API or is it like an protocol? Like how is it a protocol then?
It is a
It should be
protocol, right? It is a protocol because you're defining something within the server itself. What is a protocol? Like, can you give me a generic definition of a protocol?
like HTTP is a protocol,
Yeah.
HTTPS.
So what you are doing here is defining a protocol in itself, right? You have some list of APIs that are exposed to you, right? And then you have some set of things that you want to get done. Now, in between these two, you need to define a protocol, right?
Okay.
That is what MCP is.
So like you said that it's also a server. So how should
Yeah,
server then?
so again, MCP runs over a server, right? Okay, so I'll just take it.
Okay, okay.
Look, this is the where like their entire MCP website is. So you can actually come here and read it. This is where also I got my knowledge from. This is where you can get your knowledge from. Okay. So if I come over here, you see, okay. Wait a second. Where is that architecture diagram gone? Yeah, so again, so this says ki AI application like Claude or ChatGPT can connect to data sources, right? Tools and workflows. Okay. Access key information, perform task, right? So if I go down, understand concepts, I'm not getting that data diagram, but most of the just give me a second. I'm so sorry, guys. Just give me a second. Nope, I'm not getting that architecture diagram. But again, so if I have to show you, right, this is what it is like. So you need to understand that. Okay, let's try to just debug this. So it is a bidirectional, interface where like everything is handled by MCP itself. It can be chat interface, it can be your code editor. Biggest of the example for your MCP is your copilots that are already integrated within your cursor or the VS Code ecosystem, right? They are what MCP is. You just say what you want. They find everything relevant to it and then they, inject the code within themselves, right? They don't just give out like, okay, so have you used like ChatGPT initially, right? It was like you say, write me a game, and then they used to give you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file, and you need to actually physically copy them and paste them, and then test them out. But now you can actually just write something in like Copilot and hit enter, and it will actually go there and inject the code for you. That is what MCP is. That is what a protocol is. Okay.
So basically, in the working of the cursor, like when I integrate my
Mm-hmm.
VS with cursor, then who
Mm-hmm.
is the MCP there? Like, is it the like where is my
Cursor is
MCP
the
deployed?
MCP.
Cursor is the
Curs
MCP who's like
Cursor is
linking
the
my
MCP.
who's linking my
Exactly.
VS Code to cloud. And
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Whatever AI you are using, they are linking the VS Code to that because again, they are able to access the local files then, right? Otherwise, they don't have access to the local files.
so cursor, so we can say that is cursor a software or it's like a server that is running the
So
computational
again,
process.
so now that
Software
you're
that
not using it over a CLI, right? You're not using it over a CLI. You're using it over dedicated application, so it becomes a software. But
Got
if
it.
you are just limited to a CLI application or you're using it via Claude itself, then it is a MCP, like it is more of a CLI based MCP.
Got it. Got your point.
Oh, okay. Everyone's with me? Okay, so MCP parameters, there are like 3 to 4 major ones that I'm aware of. Again, so one are the tools, second are resources, third are prompts. Tools are something like, uh, call all the APIs, make me some, some query-related stuff that you want to have, and all the other stuff. Resources are, readable context, like cursor is the biggest example. And prompts are like how much like you write, integrate this, integrate that, like make me a custom API call and all that stuff. Okay. So again, coming back to like the MCP versus the regular REST APIs. What is the difference between MCP and REST API? So REST runs on HTTP. It's a stateless call, and it's limited to Swagger. For every application, you need to have dedicated set of APIs. right? But MCP is not like that. MCP is like you just make some endpoints valid in your MCP, and then you can have all those MCP understandable to, look into them and how they function and how you can pull forward to those MCPs. Okay, so if I take you back to this, uh, let's like, how many of you are actually interested in building an MCP? Real quick, real cool. How many of you are interested? One, two, three. बहुत सारे हो गए ये तो. I'll see what I have. Otherwise, like just let me try. Got it, guys. Got it. Everyone is excited as I am. Let me just check. Okay, so we have something here. Okay, let's create a simple MCP server that exposes the calculator tool and some data. Let's. Yeah, this is much better, accurate definition thanks to GitHub. So yeah, what is MCP? MCP lets you build a server, right? For someone who was asking that is a server or protocol, it helps you build a server that exposes data and functionality to LLM applications in a secure and standardized way. Think of it like a web API, but specifically designed for LLM integration. I hope now your point is, understood and clear. Guys, are you with me now? Is it better to understand? Is it clear? Perfect.
Yeah. Hey, is it work for computer vision models like the LLM?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I don't know if you have like looked in some examples. I mean, just a second. Okay, yeah, I'll just pull in some examples. I'll have to look for myself as well, but I am pretty sure not MCQ. So yeah, so see, this is the photo, and like yeah, let me zoom on the text on the advertising board to read it more clearly. So you can see that what they have done is this MCP. What it does is you click a photo, right, and based on that photo, it gives you a quick analysis. And yeah, like you can see that it helps you zoom in, and it has upscaled the image so that you can read it properly. And yeah, this is a basic MCP.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. So again, there are a few cool MCP that I would love for you to try. One is MCP Vision, obviously, right? Then there is for Blender, which helps you create model in real time. I don't have Blender at my system as of now. Just looking for one quick alternative that I can show you. Maybe just give me a second. Just give me a second. Okay, yeah. So where were we? Are you guys with me up till this point of time? Like यहाँ तक किसी को कोई डाउट, किसी को कुछ पूछना है? Okay, everyone's with me. I see a raise of hand. Is it okay? Like, all good? Just give me a second. I'm getting a call. My system is glitching, but I do have the code for it. So I'll just try to explain what is happening. Okay, I'm so sorry. Uh, Wait, is my screen visible? Yeah, okay. Is my screen visible? Perfect. Okay, I'll just give a quick rundown. I'll update and share this GitHub repo that is properly working uh, via Akash, and I'll get it distributed in like next few days over the weekend. So yeah, so again, I'll just make you a quick rundown. I cannot actually give you a hands-on because my system is glitching out. I don't know why. I'm so sorry for that. So, but yeah, just for a quick rundown for you guys. So basically, what happens is whenever you want, uh, to make or read or write files, you read fs in the promises. Then you use Zord for stringifying and everything. Then if you want to connect it with the front end, right? If you want to connect your application with the front end, right? At any point of time, you use streamable HTTP. If you want to use it, MCP gives you an internal inspector. If you want to use it in that, you just use stdio. And for MCP server, you definitely need an MCP server, right? So you can get it from Model Context Protocol, SDK server, MCP.js. So in this, basically what we have done is we have declared a server, right, by the name of MCP server. Please make sure that it is case sensitive because we are using TypeScript, right? Name can be anything. Version is preferred one, right? And the bounce is basically notifications that you get. So in the tools, you get list change in the resources and in the prompts, right? So again, like I said, three major things: tools, resources, and prompts, right? So now what we want to do is we want to register a resource, right? And yeah, static readme resource that will be created. Okay, it will create project readme, static readme, type will be marked down, right? So in the contents, basically this is where the stuff comes up. You go for the async content, right? You read the file and you join whatever the data is in the UTF-8 format. The contents go in the URI, the name, the title, the MIME type, that is, how it should write down, and the text. And then it can be annotations based on it takes an object of audience, user assistance, and so on. Right. Another was dynamic, daily note resource where you can actually come up and dial in, register resource and everything. So yeah, you have resource template, daily notes where you can store the notes, right, for a day-to-day basis. This is another application, right? Again, it takes a const file, a track as block, and you need to return what is happening inside there. Okay. The third one is the calculator simple addition, where we are gonna use like open the calculator, simple hello world calculator, add two numbers, right? Z dot number is a file type. And yeah, it is the content. You cannot add two numbers directly, so you need to convert them to string and then add them, right? And last but not the least is, get a preview of website. So that is what we are trying to do here, but it is not running. I'll try to get it up and running by tonight so that you can actually view. I'm so sorry for this, guys. The demo is not working as expected. Okay, coming back to the MCP, right? So again, the question comes, I remember a question being asked when to use MCP and when to use REST. Okay, So MCP is whenever you're building with LLM agents, you're working around with LLMs or AIs, right? That is when you use MCP primarily. Wait, is screen visible now? Perfect. Okay, so primarily you use MCP whenever you want to build using LLMs, right? You want to make some multi-step sessions, you want to make a mixing tool, right? And all that stuff. REST APIs are simple CRUD-based APIs, broad SDKs, internet scale consumptions, and like public APIs. Right. The transport is basically JSON RPC session that happens in the LLMs. So yeah, you build like a tool and agent for orchestration. It's not for public exposure. That LL like MCPs are primarily for, you know, scaling things or smoothing things out on an organizational level rather than on a public level, right? Whenever I say that Razorpay introduced an MCP, it is basically they are working on an internal tool. MCP works more of as an internal tool rather than a public visual tool. Okay. And security is basically again very understandable stuff. Ecosystem is there. Demo. Again, I'm so sorry for the demo that is not working. So I'll just show you how this actually works. This is one of the great MCPs out there that I personally love. This is the Blender MCP. So this is basically what you do is if they have the demo, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you start the connection in Blender. Okay, how many of you have used Blender or have seen this interface of Blender? Okay, few of us are aware. Okay, never mind. I'll just show it to you, right? So this is what Blender MC like looks like. You go to File. These are like a 3D rendering software, right? This is where you can edit the properties. This is where you have animation timelines. This is where the core object lies, and this is something that is added via this plugin. Okay, so you go to this Blender MCP. It asks you to start MCP server, right? Once you do that, right, in the Blender, go to 3D view, Blender MCP tab. We found it, right? And using Claude, basically it takes your inline Claude and you see that it has 9 tool options. Okay, the hammer icon. So hammer icon is basically the tools icon. Okay. In this, you get like 9 different tools as it says, and you can run a command. So here are a few example commands: create a low poly dungeon, scene with dragon. Yeah, so this is the very great demo that I personally loved. So yeah, you can see, wait, I'll just slow it down. Yeah, so you can see that it says make a scene in Blender with a dragon standing next to a pot of gold. Make it isometric and make sure the lighting is playful and polished. Use the right material and it should be worthy of posting on Dribble. They have also mentioned like where they want to post it, right? And this is where like the Claude, you know, the Claude agentic desktop application comes in, and then it links to your Blender on the desktop and helps you, create this. So you can see that it understands, it tries to create a dragon first, then it creates a pot of gold, it creates a room, and yeah, everything goes on. So he's also prompting it like every now and then, increase the intensity of fire emissions more and make them more orange, right? Again, it's just like prompt engineering, but you don't have to do any stuff, right? So at every point of time, it is going on and on and on and on. So you can see that nice reduces slightly to reach the nice middle. He's not like coding anything, right? It is the MCP itself that is deciding what to do. So now, yeah, like the pot of gold inside looks too dark now. Can we make it shine? And yeah, move them up and give them a different color, the thorns. So yeah, like you can see like how he's, just prompting and not doing any stuff in Blender, right? And after that, you can actually see that after a lot of prompt engineering via the MCP Blender, this is what they got out. Okay, so this is like what MCP does for you. You don't have to actually know Blender for running this. What he did was just prompted in simple plain English, right? As you all can see. It was in proper plain English, and that is why it was actually really helpful to build an MCP to the publicly available. Again, Blender is open source, so its MCP is also an open source. That is why you can pretty much see that how this works. Okay, if I give you another demo, just a second. So yeah, create the bench, reference image. I guess this is the one that is also interesting. Yeah, so yeah, create a low poly cabin in the woods like this using the right materials. So you have given a photo, right? And yeah, it is gonna take in, understand what is needed, create a low poly cabin. Uh, and yeah, like here's continuously prompting everything like what is missing, what is not missing, and how to add trees. You see, the trees look a bit strange. Can you make them stack narrow triangles? So you need to understand like a little bit about the MCP, but not all of it to make this work. Right? You need to know a little bit knowledge of Blender, just like you can now code out easily. Right? Similarly, it's like MCP doing stuff for other stuff. Okay. Again, I'm so sorry for the demo, guys. I hope this helps you understand anything that is missing. Demo is not working. I'm so sorry. I'll try to get the GitHub link out over the weekend via Akhilesh. Okay. So yeah, any questions that you might have? And thank you so much, guys. Yes, please.
I had one question. Hello.
Yeah,
Am
please go
I
on.
audible? So
Yeah.
basically, if you're using the MCP to interact with like a website, will the website flag it as a bot, or will it come across problems with like CAPTCHA and all that, or is there a way to get across that?
No, it can come across the problems like CAPTCHA because CAPTCHA is something that is more on the part where they track how your mouse moves across the screen,
Okay.
along with if you try to add computer vision. So, like, you need to understand how CAPTCHA works in the first place, right?
Mm.
Initially, it was just tracking your mouse movement, right? Then they came up that, okay, you can, force the program to make arbitrary mouse movements, but like, use computer vision to see where the fire hydrant is, right? Then they added noise. You can see some captchas where the photos are very grainy, right? This confuses computer vision. So you need to understand like what is the algorithm behind these kind of stuff, so that you can actually make a build around for these MCPs.
Okay. So there is a way around it. That's all. Okay. Thank you.
But again, so you need to know the endpoint for those APIs, right? Only then will you be able to call it out. Otherwise, like, why are they the one making it in the first place,
Fair.
right?
So I'm
Yeah.
building for legal tech. So whenever humans access court websites, we struggle with like the CAPTCHA ourselves. So trying to code a way around it seems even more hard. So I'll find out. Thank you.
Exactly. The whole point is that you need to know the endpoints for it. So again, knowing the MC, building an MCP is easy, right? But it's not the building part that is the crucial. It is knowing the endpoints that is crucial. If you don't know what endpoints are, you cannot make an MCP around it.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any type of questions? Yeah, this was the API diagram I was talking about. Thank you so much, Ram Kumar Madhavan. Yeah. So you can actually get APIs and everything. Anyone else? Any question? Any type of stuff? I'll just drop my link tree. You can feel free to connect with me. Is this the one working? Just a second.
Sir, how can we connect with you?
Yeah, just dropping my link tree in the chat. Feel free to connect via that link tree. Okay. That is done. Anything
Thank you, sir.
else that I can help
Thank you,
you
sir.
with? Anyone, any other type of questions that you might have? The floor is open for you guys. कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं, ऐसा कोई ऐसा ऐसा कुछ हार्ड एंड फास्ट नहीं है.
I think there's no doubt. No question.
Either I am a great teacher or the worst teacher. I hope it is the first one. कि
I
मैंने
think
पढ़ाया तुमको समझ आ गया. Yeah, please go on. What are you saying?
I think the doubts will start coming in when we actually try implementing it, and then we realize there is like a lot of gaps in our like understanding, or there's some problems
So
that we can't solve.
you can reach out to me via LinkedIn
Thank you.
or yeah, feel free to reach me out in your custom project. I'll try to make the demo as small but intuitive as possible over the weekend. I'll try to make it more exhaustive so you can actually understand like how different tools integrate over the web or the MCP, and we have an exhaustive MCP understanding while I share the GitHub. So yeah, I'll try to make sure that that is an exhaustive list over the weekend. That is my task for the weekend. Understood. So yeah, just anything else that I can help you with, guys? Anything else at all? Also, guys, one more thing, just from the cohort perspective, try to stay consistent, no matter what you are dealing with, because this is also a great journey that you're going to be part of. So I hope that we all build something innovative and for the better for us and the environment altogether. I think that is it, Akhilesh. We can wrap this up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddharth, for the insightful session. Guys, see you on Monday. We have our next workshop on Monday. Thank you so much, guys. See you. Take
Thank you,
care.
sir.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Thank you.